بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم dear viewers ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى حامل لواء الحسين أبي الفضل العباس وعلى الحوراء زينب روحي لهم الفداء، واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. Dear respected viewers, again assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight we are joined, and for the remainder of the nights inshallah, by a very special guest and a dear friend of myself, Sheikh Mountadhar Al-Karbala'i, who has blessed us with his presence from the other end of the world, from Canada, and he has come to serve Abi Abdullah Al-Hussein alongside us under the banner of Labbaik Ya Hussein. So we welcome him. Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. I hope you are well. Welcome to Karbala. We are on the outskirts of Karbala. Inshallah, our discussion today, as we spoke earlier, was the atmosphere of what is happening now on the way to Karbala. What are the different mawaqib doing? What are the people feeling? So what is your take on all this?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal-mursaleen, habibi ilah al-alameen bil-Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad, واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين آمين رب العالمين. We first greet our dear brothers and sisters for joining us here on the path towards the heavens, the path towards Karbala. And when it comes to the atmosphere of Arbaeen, the atmosphere of ziyarah, and we've lived these atmospheres, alhamdulillah, some of us more than one, some of us have not been able to unfortunately be blessed with the ziyarah, but inshallah we pray that the pilgrims that will not make it this time will make it the next year, inshallah.
Inshallah.
But we have to say this though, just for as a disclaimer, before we get into explaining whatever we tell you in terms of images, please don't take it as a full image.
Of course.
You know, we're giving you...
It's very important to clarify this, because people, you know, they take something, then they...
because we want to tell you that the image that we're going to describe to you is probably 1% or 2% of what you see. The miracles that happen here, I mean, if you don't want to hear it from me, you can come and ask anybody that's walking right now. They'll tell you. Some of them are here because they're in love. Some of them are here because they have a specific request. They're sick. Some of them are here because they heard there's somebody named Hussein, and this Hussein will grant them salvation. Some people are here because they want to console with Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, as she rode through this path when she came back from Sham and Kufa. And she did that, of course, in the hardest position. And since I said this, I want to say this again as well. Don't think that the walk that you're walking is anything close to what the Sabaya went through. Because, I mean, when we're walking to Karbala, we're not carrying with us a severed head. When we're walking towards Karbala, we're not carrying young children calling for their father. When we're walking to Karbala, we don't have an imam that's shackled. So, and at the same time, we have a place for resting. We have food. We have amenities that help us on the way, doctors, everything. So I tell my dear brothers and sisters, before anything, this is something, you can consider this to be a % or 2, maybe even less, of the actual walk that Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam went through. And actually I believe myself that the only reason the Imam alayhi salam made this Arbaeen ziyarah part of the believer's characteristics is because of Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam.
Of course.
If Sayyidah Zainab did not come to Arbaeen and Karbala, then it would not be part of the Hadith. Sayyidah Zainab played a big important role in this. Now, I mean, honestly, I don't know where to begin. Like, it's difficult to begin. Like,
as in the masa'ib they went through was...
Yeah, because right now, for example, if you guys, I don't know if you guys can hear, there's the sounds of the believers responding to the aid that Imam Hussein alayhi salam called for 400 years ago. Beautiful in Farsi, in Arabic, in English. It's unfortunate that even these loud voices today, we have, unfortunately, people that may ascribe themselves to be scholars, and they say, there's no point in yelling. There's no point in shouting.
Of course.
There's no point in you falling on the ground and dusting yourself.
Unfortunately, we have people who fight these rituals of Imam Hussein.
Unfortunately, and then the importance of these coming nights is focusing on the sanctity of these majalis. And we want to tell the believers, make sure you do not come close to these majalis. Because if you do, you will see the result in this dunya or in the hereafter. And we've seen people that have tried to toy with these majalis, and they've been dealt immense pain, either in this world or in the hereafter. And they have narrated this themselves. So we want to say, when you see somebody screeching out loud, don't say this is backwards. This is something my mind cannot understand. Love is not something.
People fear what they don't understand.
Yeah.
When they don't understand something, they tend to attack it.
Exactly.
Because they fear that because they don't understand it. They want to crush it because it's not their taqaleed, let's say. It's not their traditional method of mourning in a way.
Yeah.
So they choose to attack it. And unfortunately, it has had a big impact on our society, especially in the West. I'm sure you've noticed.
Yes.
But the majalis of Imam Hussein will always prevail.
Of course.
It's something that is divine.
Alhamdulillah. No.
Yeah.
Like you said, they say they have their own taqaleed, their own beliefs or doctrines that they might be inherited from their parents or from the media or from the pulpits that are not giving the right message. But and I tell my believers this, I'm not here attacking anybody. We're trying to take you towards, open a book. When Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is seen, one of his companions enters to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq is finishing a 2 rak'ah prayer. After his prayer, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam prays with these words: Allahumma arham tilka as-sarkhatu allati kanat lana. Allahumma arham tilka al-wujuh allati ghayyaratha ash-shams. Allahumma arham tilka al-khudud allati taqallabat ala hufrati Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Right there, from these 3 statements, we can derive so many actions and rituals that the believers do today. The first one, Allahumma arham tilka as-sarkhatu allati kanat lana. Oh Allah, have mercy upon those screeches that were set for us. So when the believer stands Bain al-Haramain and he begins to just say Hussein or Abbas, and you're like, who is this guy? Is he crazy? You think he's crazy, but this person sees something in front of him,
It's love.
that we cannot see. Which is why when I was in Ashura last year, in Ashur, on the day of Ashura, on Yawm al-Ijma' al-Muqaddas, when the believers were doing the rituals of Tatbir, I saw a man taking his qama. When I was looking at him, all I was saying, and I swear to God, I was crying and I was saying, Ya Allah, one day I want to be like this man. This is my goal. If I can find what this man finds from love, then I'll be for sure I'm happy.
This is all tawfiq, Shaykhna, from what I've seen, from what I've experienced. I'm sure you've seen the same thing. This is a gift granted by Imam al-Hussein. It's a gift that you are able to mourn in a certain way, you are able to go to a certain extent for him. Not everyone has that privilege, and I ask Allah, like you just said, that I'm granted an opportunity to know what this man is feeling, where I can mourn the same way. I can go to his levels of mourning.
That's the goal now.
That is the goal, because when you shed that tear, when you shed that blood for Imam al-Hussein, you are remembering the holy blood that was spilt in Karbala. You're remembering the tear of Zainab that hit the ground in Karbala. And what can be greater than that?
I don't know what to say.
Truly something that you can't explain. The tear of Zainab, the woman that no man had seen her shadow before Karbala.
Yeah. And then
her tear falls in Karbala.
Some people may not come. It's important to, when you look at the events of Karbala, that you look at the Imam alayhi salam, Sayyid al-Shuhada, and then you'll understand what maqam, what status the sacred daughters of Rasulullah, the maidens, have in Karbala. Why? Al-Fadl al-Darabandi, in his book Asrar al-Shahada, and unfortunately I'm going to summarize because I don't have the nas with me, but in 2-3 pages he begins to give at least 15-16 points proving the infallibility of these ladies from merely looking at how the Imam used to interact with them. For example, every time the Imam alayhi salam would say Ala min nasiran yansurallah ana min dhabin yudubbu an harami Rasulullah, every time he would bring the nusra, he would always bring the ladies with them. He would say, and there's not nobody to protect the maidens of Rasulullah. Or for example, when he speaks to Hayy ibn Mudahar alayhi salam and the Ansar, Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhim salam, he always tells them, your job is the maidens, your job is the maidens, your job is the maidens. On the day of Ashura, when he was left alone, he asked for protection to the maidens. Time and time again, on the tongue of Sayyid al-Shuhada, the only thing is that what will happen to these maidens after? What will happen to them? Is there nobody to protect them? And that's why when he left at those last moments, he told Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, he told them, after me you will face difficulties, you will face hardship. They will finally see you, see your shadow. You must be patient. But of course Sayyidah Zainab, in that majlis, under all that stress, under all that pain, gave the most powerful sermon that from 1400 years ago till now it has broken the barrier of time and space.
That sermon that shook the foundations of the universe. That sermon was equal, if I may say, to what happened in Karbala. That sermon alone. The words of Zainab. Now if you're telling me the words of Zainab are equal to what happened in Karbala, there must be the words of Allah. They must be divine.
عالمة غير معلمة فاهمة غير مفاهمة. Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, she is knowledgeable, learned, without there being a teacher to teach you this knowledge. She understands,
Pure
has recognition,
knowledge.
without somebody bringing her this recognition. Which is not, and this is from Imam alayhi salam saying this. This is not like Fulano Allah, not somebody in the streets, not an alim. This is an Imam alayhi salam who is speaking. Other than that, the shawahid on Kufa and Sham, what do the Ruwat say? They say كأنها تفرغ عن لسان أبيها أمير المؤمنين. We were not sure if Imam Ali was standing in front of us or was it a lady. A lady her back was broken and they thought it was Imam Ali standing in front of them. And by the way, Sayyidah Zainab is the one who we can say gave us the sunnah of Aza, the sunnah of mourning, the sunnah of the majalis. People, by the way, misunderstand the technique when it comes to the khitaba. The most important part of a khatib's majlis is the aza portion. It's not the lecture. When Al-Kumayt used to enter upon As-Sadiq Ja'far ibn Muhammad alayhi salam, the first thing he would tell him is, Ya Kumayt, anshidni sha'ran bil Hussein. Recite to me some poetry.
The first measures was established on Shi'r al-Hussein.
Exactly.
It was poems.
Exactly.
Poetry.
It wasn't a lecture, fiqh or whatever. And unfortunately today, we spent so many times, 50, 60 minutes focusing on a lecture and 5-10 minutes, where it should be an equal amount.
Some may argue, and they say that, because the masa'ib are so important, people come from masa'ib, they utilize this time, this moment, to throw out some knowledge to the crowd, for example, to the people. So there's no harm in giving an hour lecture at 15-minute masa'ib.
There's no harm, no.
So that's what some people may argue. But at the same time, when you do push for something like that, it doesn't stop. It's like an ongoing, train. When you stop pushing for lectures and listening of masa'ib, it keeps on going, and slowly, just a lecture. Slowly, let's leave masa'ib for another time, inshallah.
No, it's important. The masa'ib, lecture is important, but the masa'ib are just important, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
not more.
Yeah, actually it is more important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to mourn Hussein. We were created to mourn Hussein. We discussed this earlier. The Shia, mankind in general, we were created for majalis.
And service of Imam Hussein.
Because,
sorry to cut you off, Shaykhna, but on that note of service of Imam Hussein, we were out earlier, you just reminded me. We were walking down the walk of the Mashayikh, and I was astonished by seeing a small table, with like a couple of cups of water, and the young child, 13 years old, sitting there. He was pouring, that's his mawkib. You see all these tents, you see his mawkib. His mawkib and his job, this whole Arbaeen, is sitting there, welcoming the Zawar to drink water, remembering the thirst of Abu Fadil, pouring them water and sitting back down. Finish water, refills, pouring it back. And we've done a report on it actually, so we want to show the viewers this report, inshallah, then we'll come back to our topic. So inshallah, we will air this report of the child who was all alone serving the Zawar Imam Hussein with only water and all humbleness and simplicity. And we'll come back after this report, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Many people are under the impression that a mawkib needs to be something big, needs to be something fancy, needs to be a tent, needs to be a place for people to rest. But no, those who serve with whatever they have. It could be as small and as simple as 2 children simply serving water, filling up buckets of water and serving it to the Zawar. This act of service and kindness to the Zawar Imam Hussein in honor of the thirst of the women and children of Karbala, in honor of the thirst of Abi Abdullah Al-Hussein and the thirst of Abu Fadil. They serve the water, welcoming them to their small mawkib. Yes, it may be small, but their service is big and it will have big weight on it on the Day of Judgment. This service, remembering the thirst of Imam Hussein. Think of the millions of Zawar walking past, drinking the water, and every time they drink, they say, Allahumma al'an Yazid. And they remember the thirst of Imam Hussein. Because Imam Hussein said to Shia, oh Shia, whenever you drink water, remember my thirst. Remember the thirst of my women and children. So in honor of the Ahlul Bayt, we thank these youth that remind us of Qasim, son of Imam al-Hassan. These youth at their very young age, honoring the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein and remembering his thirst and allowing the Zawar to remember his thirst at the same time.
I'll go to his shrine. Voices will together recite, Oh Hussein, you are divine. Oh Hussein, for you we will fight, whoever crosses the line.
Welcome back, dear viewers. After that report that we done, I hope that it drew an image for you of the willing to serve, of the willing of service towards Imam al-Hussein, no matter what age and no matter how much resources you have. Now that was a prime example of someone who has no backing, no elder supports. Him and a few friends sitting there, very young kids, 1 table, 2 chairs and just water, to show that every sort of service in honor of Imam al-Hussein is greatness. Every sort of service is divine in honor of Imam Hussein. And we were talking before the break about a certain kind of service, which was the masa'ib of Imam al-Hussein, the majalis of Imam al-Hussein. So if you'd like to continue with that, Sheikhna,
Yes, inshallah.
you were elaborating on your
Inshallah.
point.
Basically, I was trying to say the importance of the masa'ib. If you look at how the Imams alayhimussalam used to interact with the poets, like Al-Kumayt and Al-Himyari and so on and so forth. When Al-Kumayt would enter, for example, to the Imam alayhissalam, the first thing the Imam would tell him before even saying salam, he would say, I want you to recite poetry for Sayyid al-Shuhada, my grandfather Hussein. So Kuwait would begin to recite poetry, and then the Imam would begin to cry. When he would finish, he would be like, no, continue, more. And he would repeat this 3-4 times until the Imam, the hadith says, his aba and his beard would be wet from the tears of the Imam. I mean, usually when I look at these hadith, and I see like the tear of the Imam itself, to me, in my belief, and which should be the belief of all the believers that wish to go, especially when you go into the ziyarah. When you go to ziyarah, you must have ma'rifah, right? Ma'rifah is whatever the Imam alayhi salam does, whatever the Imam tells you, you must say sam'an wa ta'a. Right? You must just right away say, I obey you. To me, the tears of the Imam, my whole body can go as its ransom for the tears of the Imam alayhi salam. The beautiful, you listen to the beautiful chants. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasten the appearance of our Imam alayhi salam. But I wanted to narrate an image that I saw here a couple years ago. It's basically that image of the old man walking towards ziyarah, and we've seen it.
A common image.
Some people have seen it on video, probably. Some people have seen it here. I mean, that's what the poet says, right? He says, how do I begin to describe your servants, O Hussein? How do I begin to describe your servants, O Hussein? And he says, كلنا شفنا بهاليقين, right? شلون مشلول ويجيك يمشي يوم الأربعين. That we all saw with certainty. How does that, he who is paralyzed, come and visit you on the day of Arbaeen? Then the poet says that, يا أبا عبد الله أصغر عبد عندك حير أكبر فيلسوف. يا أبا عبد الله, the smallest servant under your hands. Smallest servant under your hands. And I don't know how to even begin to describe to you what a small servant is. That's not in my hands. But the smallest servant, the smallest slave that you have under you, the greatest philosopher,
It baffles them.
And then today they try to understand the sha'a'ir through philosophy.
Me and you who have been brought up in this majalis, I'm sure you feel the same as me. We've been brought up this, we are born and bred in this, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, this is tawfiq, of course. Majalis, weekly majalis, day in, day out, we attend majalis, we take part in azadari and lectures and everything and masa'ib. But even now, when I see it, as you said, a young guy serving, confuses me, like, doesn't fit into my mind.
No.
What pushes him to serve? Yeah, I was in that position, you may have been in that position at one point. But how do you fathom such a thing?
Impossible to
A man who died over 1,400 years ago, and people are still, crying, serving of him. I'm living the experience. This is something we've been brought up with, something we know. This is our aqidah, this is our belief system. But it's just something that one can't fathom.
No.
Even the masa'ib of Imam Hussein and masa'ib of Sayyidah Zainab and everything that happened in Karbala. Let's use an example. If you listen to a story once, it's a story, it's interesting, you interact with it. Second time, third time, you get bored of it. You don't want to hear it anymore. But the masa'ib, the stories that happened in Karbala, the masa'ib of Imam Hussein, year in, year out, the same masa'ib are recited to us and repeated to us. But they make us cry more. They make us beat ourselves more. We mourn Aba Abdullah tenfold. Now this something, this can't be nothing less than something divine. Now, that's all I can say, and I've repeated it a few times. But that's the reality. It's a miracle.
Yes. No, I always tell people, when it comes to these majalis, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you. How are you supposed to explain love? How come? It's funny because in Muharram, the Arabic lectures was being delivered by Sayyid Layth al-Musawi. He mentioned some very simple points. He's like, how come every form of jaza and mourning and lamentation is respected, but only when it comes to the shuhada you begin to move like insects towards? How come when Michael Jackson, he said this, when Michael Jackson died, how much people killed themselves? Were they looked down upon? Did anybody scold them? No, nobody did.
They were mourned, in fact.
They were more. When Romeo and Juliet that we read in high school, when from a very young age, the first books we read in high school. Why does everybody fall in love with Romeo and Juliet? Nobody says Romeo was crazy and Juliet was crazy.
People cry at the end of the story.
They both die,
They both
die out of no reason. We have a reason. Hussein is the reason for existence. Hussein
Ya
is
Aba
the reason for
Abdullah, Ya
existence.
Aba Abdullah.
Right? بكم فتح الله وبكم يختم وبكم
Not
ينزل
for Aba
الغيث.
Abdullah, what are we?
Nothing.
We are
Without
nothing.
Sayyid al-Shuhada, we're nothing.
This is the man that, as you said, is the reason for our existence, the reason for everything we do, every good we do, every breath we take, every step we take. He is the reason. If not for Aba Abdullah, we are nothing but dust. Not even dust. Dust is something good, you know what I mean?
I mean, quick story. I don't know if the believers, probably it's hard to see on camera, but when we look, for example, across the distance, and we look across the distance, what do we see? We see a cloud of dust forming, right? This dust, by the way, the story, Sayyid al-Burujardi, the biggest maraja at his time, Sahib Kitab Jami' Ahadith al-Shia, where he collected all the ahadith of the Shia in terms of fiqh and aqidah.
Yes,
And
yes.
he's a man that has his status in the Hawza. When this man comes to Sayyid al-Shuhada, he's a slave in front of Sayyid al-Shuhada. What's happened? Near the end years of life of Sayyid al-Burujardi, he was dealt with very serious eye pain and he was close to being blind. He could not see very well. He lived in Qom. The Zuwar in Karbala that used to go to the ziyarah, one of the believers gathered not the dust of Sayyid al-Shuhada, the dust under the feet of the Zuwar.
The ones that
He gathered
stepped
it
on them,
and he placed it on a cloth, put it in a bag, took it to Sayyid al-Burujardi. When Sayyid al-Burujardi held it, he began to wipe his face, and by the will and grace of Allah and Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he was bringing back his eyesight. And they said that Sayyid al-Burujardi, his own children speak this, that he was not dealt any pain in his eyes until the end of his life. Marja' zamana. This is how you interact with Sayyid al-Shuhada. He's like, take me as a slave, take me as a abd, take me as anything.
There are no short of miracles.
No.
There are no short.
And this is just the dust under the feet of the Zuwar. So before you come and say, Ani Khadim al-Hussein, try to become Khadim al-Zuwar. We cannot become Khadim al-Hussein, by the way. Qambar is Khadim al-Hussein. Zurara is Khadim al-Sadiq.
You can only try.
Salman. Let's try to call ourselves, for example, Khadim al-Zuwar, Khadim Qambar.
Khadim Khadamat al-Hussein.
Yes, that's what we do right now, because we can't understand, no matter what. There's some people that are doing this ziyarah that we will never comprehend why they're doing it. You know, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تَنْفَقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will not reach true love, true bounties, true salvation, until you give that for which you love. Now, for you and myself, let's say, what's the most precious thing in my body right now? Then? My soul.
Of course.
But my soul, unfortunately, the Shara has put a limit that I cannot remove my soul. So I go back to the next under that. What is that? My blood. It's very precious than money. I wish to give my blood for Sayyid al-Shuhada. I want to reach the birr that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks. There's a war today. Some of them
What an
want to
honor
reach
it
this
is,
love,
yeah.
right? This is their way of reaching this love. Who, by the way, my aunt tells me this. She lives in Karbala. She opens her house for Zawar. She's like, I swear to God, 365 days in a year, I would never open my house for anybody. Only in Arbaeen. For 10 days, I don't care who you are. Just
And that's the same across the whole board.
only in Arbaeen.
Don't ask questions where you're from, who you are.
That's
You are
it.
Zahra of Aba
That's
Abdullah.
it.
You're welcome in the house. My food is your food. In fact, there are people who own the house that don't eat. Everything they have goes to the Zawar. All their blankets goes to the Zawar. Because that khidmah to the Zawar is what grants you rizq throughout the year.
Exactly. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And you've been here to experience such a phenomenon. And I don't know what I could say, but millions of Zawar from all over the world coming in such a small city. And I mentioned this in a previous show, that if you look at Hajj, I think a few years back, what, 3-4 million people?
Yeah.
And then that tragic incident happened. That's Baytullah. Let's forget the countries that run it. Put that aside. That's Baytullah. Now in Karbala, which is smaller, 20 million? And that's the estimates now. Some people say more, some people say that's what, 20 million. And have you seen any incident like this?
No.
And yeah,
Because the hand of Allah is over here, right? Because the closest a believer can reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Karbala.
Abu Abdullah Al-Hussein.
Sometimes people say, what is this, hypocrisy and this, blasphemy? I'm gonna go visit Allah. I am, because Imam Sadiq says, whoever visits Hussein alayhi salam has in fact visited Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
On his throne, of course.
So that's the closest way, because he's the closest creation and being to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why I go to Karbala.
Just on the point that you made about giving your blood, let me play devil's advocate. Let me lay on some doubts that people have, or some arguments that people bring up. They say, why do you shed your blood for the Imam? Why not instead? Now this word, I hate this word, instead. Why not, instead of doing tatbir or shedding your blood for Hussein, why not instead give your blood?
No problem.
No
We'll say, we'll give our blood. But why does it have to be Ashura? Why can't I be on the birthday of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? And second of all, when we give our blood, how long does blood last? 45 days, 60 days? Are you going to give it to anybody? How are you going to keep it fresh? Fresh blood doesn't last that long, by the way. So if you organize a program, we can do both.
And you need to remember that they are, just because it involves blood, they are not the same thing.
No, because one is a sha'ira.
One's a sha'ira, one's me mourning, and the other is for da'wah, you could say, in a way.
Yeah, in a way.
There are two different.
It's funny because you know what they say? They call tatbir a bid'ah. But by the way, this is just for argument's sake. Nobody please take this.
Yeah.
I don't consider donating blood a bid'ah, but technically speaking, it's more of a bid'ah because there is no nas that the Imam actually donated blood.
We ourselves donate blood on Mawlid al-Imam.
The
Imam of Life campaign and other such campaigns. We donate our blood throughout the year, not just, and we encourage it. You are saving a life. This is something very mustahab. This, do not let anything, and I say this, and I'm sure you can back me up on this, Shaykhna, nothing ever should come in the way of Sha'ar al-Hussein and Majas al-Hussein, because they are what have kept Islam alive. They are what have kept our Aqeedah strong in the Ahlul Bayt. Now do what you can to attract those to the Ahlul Bayt through akhlaq, through giving out water, through giving out roses, whichever method you choose. But do not let it affect the majalis and the azadar of Imam Hussein. And on that note, we would like to go on a quick break again, inshallah, our final break, and we'll return with the masa'ib of Imam Hussein, inshallah. So dear viewers, please join us and see the Zuwar in this report that we are going to show you now. See the Zuwar and how they crawl in their millions to Imam Hussein, and how the next few days they will multiply in the millions. Not multiplying, but they will become in the millions, inshallah. So join us after the break, and we'll see you soon.
Sons left me and never came. Life will never be the same. The whole night she's shouting. Sons left me and never came. Life will never be the same. Al-Banin is asking, where are my sons? They are now gone and in my life.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we have been blessed to continue our work covering this divine and inspirational march of the millions towards Abi Abdullah Al-Hussein. This road that leads from Najaf to Karbala, as well as other parts of the country leading to Karbala. We have been blessed to be in this very location, speaking to the people, speaking to the Zuwar, the pilgrims, speaking to the servants of Imam Hussein, and seeing what they think seeing their take on these millions of people walking to Imam Hussein and why they think they are doing it. But today, I'd like to speak to you about one very, very important thing that is more of a visual than anything else. Behind me now, on my right, you can see people walking across the Mashai Road. Now that is the main Mashai Road. This area is comprised of 4 separate roads, and 3 of them at the start of the walk are closed off for the people to walk and are mainly just for cars. And 1 road is designated to those who walk. But now, as you can see, we are getting closer to the day of Arbaeen, and the overflow of people has pressured the second road into opening, and you can see now it's no empty road either. I mean, people are in their millions. It's multiplying day by day. Unexpected in the next couple of days that the other 2 roads will also be closed off to cars and will only be open to those who walked to Imam Hussein. So just picture this in your mind. Imagine this: 4 enormous highways filled with millions and millions and millions of Zawar, pilgrims of Imam Hussein, all calling out Labbaik Ya Hussein under the banner and under the knowledge that Imam Hussein is the one that unites us, and it is only him that will bring peace and justice through his stand. And we learn from his stand how to fight oppressors and tyrannical leaders, and through those lessons, inshallah, we can do the same and make the same stand.
My 4 sons again, tears are dropping and they resemble the rain. Am I going to see my...
To our astonishment, and with the barakat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt, this year the pilgrimage has grown immensely. Around the same time last year, you would not expect to see as many Zuwar. We are around 8 days away from the day of Arbaeen, and people are already arriving to Karbala in their millions. Now this is truly to our surprise, because that only happens in the last couple of days leading up to Arbaeen. But this year is different. This year is showing us that every year the Zuwar multiply. Every year more and more people are prioritizing the pilgrimage of Imam Hussein. More and more people are knowing about Abi Abdullah Hussein and his masa'ib. So alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, this pilgrimage, this divine pilgrimage is growing, and we are part of this experience, alhamdulillah. And we are part of this divine walk, this divine march of the millions to Abi Abdullah Hussein. And I ask Allah that everyone gets the opportunity to talk to Imam Hussein in the coming years, and everyone gets the opportunity to be granted his shafa'ah in the akhirah, inshaAllah.
Sons left me and never came. Life will never be the same. The whole night she's shouting. Sons left me and never came. Life will never be the same. Al-Banin is asking where are my...
Welcome back, dear viewers. Now I truly do hope that the reports that we are showing you throughout the shows are giving you a better image, for those of you who haven't come, of course, a better image and better insight of what is happening in Arbaeen and how everything works during this very heavy ziyarah. Now, before the break, we were talking about the importance of majalis and the fact that the majalis are what kept this religion alive, and nothing should get in the way of the majalis. But now, in honor of Abu Abdullah, the Sheikh will bless us with a majlis, inshaAllah, and help us, allow us to shed a tear in honor of Imam Hussein. So I offer the floor to the Sheikh, inshaAllah.
Before I begin the majlis, it's an important story that I want to share, which happened with me 2 years ago. I was walking with one of my friends, and we stopped at a mawkib. He wanted to rest, so he went to go rest. And while I was sitting down, the man brought me new socks. He began to massage my feet, even though I would not let him, but he wouldn't stop. Then he brought me a plate with food. Then my friend came out, we ate. All of this though, when I was sitting down eating, I told the man, I'm like, Uncle, Ammo, please have some food with us. It would be only honored for you to join us. He said something that really has confused me till today. This man's from Ahl al-Basra. I think their mawqif was around the 860s. He said to me, he's like, son, we have a meal that we eat which is greater than this meal. I'm like, what could be more greater than this meal itself? He's like, you see, when you guys are done, some people have food left over. We take all this food, we put it in a big plate, and we all start eating from it together.
Allah.
We all start eating from it together, and whatever's left over, my wife dries, she churns it, and every year she has a small vase, she puts it in the cooking when she cooks food. So we were given a huge plate to eat, right? But when the Sabaya entered the Khariba of Sham, the ruins of Sham, and for the first time, when Imam As-Sajjad would look upon his aunt Zainab alayhi salam, he would say, كل ما نظرت إلى عمتي زينب خنقتني العبرة. Every time I look at my aunt Zainab, I'm choked with tears, because they began to stand one by one in front of Yazid, and Yazid began to ask each and every single one, who are you? I'm Fatima. Who are you? I'm Sakina. Who are you? I'm Zainab. Who are you? I'm Ruqayya. Today we'll dedicate this to Sayyidah Ruqayya. They took them to the ruins there in Sham, and the daughters of the Imam, the children of the Imam, all gathered around Sayyidah Zainab. One asked, where's my father? Another asked, where's my uncle Abbas? I'm sure he promised to bring us water. Where is he? Sayyidah Zainab tells Ruqayya, your father is on a very long journey. And of course we know Sayyidah Ruqayya knows the truth behind what happened to her father. Sayyidah Ruqayya alayhi salam goes to sleep. She goes to sleep. She sees Sayyid al-Shuhada in the manam, and he begins to speak to his daughter. He begins to speak to his daughter like a father would speak to a daughter, with love and compassion. No, I mean, I don't have any children, but those who have children, they know how difficult it is when it comes to the daughter and the father, especially the daughter and the father. Now imagine a young girl waking up from her sleep asking for her father, Ya Abata, Amma Zainab, Aina Abi al-Hussein, Amma Zainab, Aina Walidi. Aunt Zainab, where is my father Hussein? Where is my father Hussein? Ruqayya began a majlis. Ruqayya began a majlis in the middle of the A'da. From this we learn that even if we're surrounded by enemies, we uphold the shi'ar of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Ruqayya taught us this. Ruqayya's sunnah is that even if you're surrounded by enemies, nothing shall stop the majlis of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Ruqayya had a majlis in the Khariba of Sham, to the point where Yazid woke up from his slumber. When he asked what's going on, he said, a daughter of Hussein is crying, and she will not stop crying. Through Ruqayya, his tears, Yazid was shook. And our tears today will also shake the enemies of Islam. Yazid told Ruqayya, told the guards, take. You know the rest of the story. I can't speak about that part. But after, when they brought the nurse to prepare the body of Ruqayya, as soon as she unraveled the body of Ruqayya, she said to the Imam, I can't touch her body. She seems to be sick with something. There are marks on her body. They thought it was a sickness of some sort. So the Zainab said, no. These are not, she's not sick. These are from the whips, the chains, and the spears, and the lances that were dealt to this young daughter. She's only 4 years old. 4 years old. And these people treated Al-Muhammad like they were kuffar. Like they were kuffar. One more image please before I end. When the Imam As-Sajjad entered Kufa, your Imam, by the way, was shackled. In his neck there was a shackle, and on his feet there were shackles. It says that when Imam entered Kufa, an old lady from the roof began to throw rocks, and one of the rocks hit the Imam's head and he began to bleed. And then imagine this picture right here. Somebody threw wood fire around the Imam's head, and it said that they burned the turban of the Imam. Imagine the Imam is taking off his turban. That means when the Imam entered upon Yazid, his image was like this. His neck bleeding, his hands and legs bleeding, with no turban on his head, dust and marks of pain. And then they tell me today, what? إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. يعني, when they tell us, like you were saying, Sheikh, they tell us, why do you mourn for these figures? Why do you wish to feel the pain that they went through? I think it's quite clear. In any case, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And we ask Allah to remove His mercy from the a'da of the Ahlul Bayt, from the first till the last, from the beginning of time till the end of time. And we ask Allah to send His blessings upon Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. We ask Allah to hasten the reappearance of our 12th Imam, Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. I'd like to thank you, dear viewers, and thank you, Sheikhna, for your insight and your masa'ib. And inshallah you can join us tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. Iraq time or 4 p.m. GMT time. Inshallah we will again be joined by Sheikh Mountadhar Al-Karbala'i. So on that note, I'd like to thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.